On this episode of Game Shack, it's all about the AtGames pinball system. I'm going to tell you guys 3 things you got to know about the Gottlieb update for the original HD ELP. Of course, they've had just a bunch of announcements talking about how they're going to improve the look of the still yet to be released 4K. I'll give you my take on that. And also, I'm going to tell you one thing that AtGames has not done yet for that 4K machine that I'm hoping that they do that could really increase the play value of that machine. All that and more coming up next. Hey everybody, welcome on back into the Game Shack. I'm your host, JDV for Evil Genius Entertainment. Thanks for stopping by. As always, give us a thumbs up on the way out the door, and we'll love you even more. All right, so most of you guys have probably already heard that you can get an upgrade for your original 2K Gen 1 ELP pinball machine. It's a Goly Pack. I'm going to jump into that right now. I had a chance to download it and put it on my machine over the weekend, and I went through its paces. And there are 3 things that you really do need to know about it before you do it. One is it won't brick your machine. And the reason why that's true is reason 2 is because you don't need to upgrade the firmware at all to make it work. And that is really, really important if you want to run CoinOps X, because I think if you upgrade to the newest version of the firmware, you won't be able to use CoinOps X anymore on the machine. AtGames is kind of going straight and narrow, so to speak, and they don't want any problems getting licenses moving forward. And I think part of the price they had to pay to get those Zen tables on their 4K machine was getting rid of CoinOps X, and we presume that they'll be getting some more titles for their 4K ALU down the line. You won't brick your machine by upgrading to it because it is not a firmware upgrade. Of course, you always can upgrade your firmware, but I didn't. I'm still using CoinOps X, or at least I could on this machine, and these game packs work just fine. And so the third thing you have to know about this pack if you download it is that it's not going to give you a spectacularly different set of 22 games. Now, the ball does look a lot better. It actually looks like a ball as opposed to just a 2D kind of silver thing that slides around the play field. I do think the physics are a little bit better, at least they seem to be to me, but you're still stuck on the original graphics of those games. I mean, there's only so much that they realistically could be expected to do without a total major overhaul of the system, which of course you're just more likely to see that kind of effort put into the 4K machine, which is legitimate. It makes sense. The machine is now something like 3 years old, which is a very long time in terms of tech. But anyway, I'm glad I did it. There's no reason not to do it. It will definitely give you a little bit better experience. Some tables, like the Gladiator table, you're going to have light bulbs fixed. In terms of the back glass is going to look a little bit better. It's going to be stretched out a little bit more properly. Now you will see like a little red frame that pops up as the game is loading. No big deal. It's been doing that for every game. It only lasts a second. Doesn't affect play at all, doesn't wreck your machine, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, it's all good. If you wanted to jump in and upgrade those Gottlieb tables for your original ELP, I say go ahead and do it. To me, it's only benefit and no negative. Speaking of negative, there was a negative reaction, at least from some, when AtGames debuted their 4K pinball machine at the Pinball Expo in Chicago a couple weeks back. And primarily that had to do with 2 things. One, it was flipper lag, which I'll talk about in a second. And 2 was the placement of the coin door on the machine. It was off center and frankly looked a little goofy. I think they did that to incorporate the builder's plate that they put on there. I do think that the builder's plate is a cool idea. It lets you know exactly what machine it is. I think it does add to the collectability of these machines, but that was done at the expense of moving the coin door off kilter, which did not look good. Nobody thought it looked good, and it was not a great idea. But to AtGames' credit, they fixed it, and now the coin door is back where it should be. The builder plate is smaller and on the coin door itself. They also did a couple of other things that nobody was really asking for, but hopefully will make the machine even better. They're putting like a spider web type thing on the speaker grills, which again goes to the Addams Family sort of theme and all that. And they also put Addams Family at the top of the machine and move the AtGames logo down to the control deck. Now, I don't think they need to add a graphic at the top. In other words, I think, this is just aesthetics again, that they don't need to have the haunted house or whatever. You can see that in the picture right now. I think if they just kind of had a Addams Family plaque or an Addams Family sticker or something like that, that would work better than adding graphics on the side. Again, I don't think that we're actually seeing an actual real world mock-up when we look at these pictures. They are CG. So again, aesthetically, I think the machine looks a lot better than it did just 3 weeks ago. However, I think they could still maybe do a couple of fine-tuning tweaks to it. However, they are already trying to get SKUs from different sellers, and they're hopefully going to drop news about that here within a week or so. So, you know, fingers crossed these things start hitting the stores in big numbers, and it does really well. Okay, now there is one thing that AtGames hasn't done yet that I really do hope that they do, at least for the 4K, and it'd be nice if they did it for the original ELP 2, and that is the ability to punch in on the playfield. In other words, change the aspect ratio of the game so that you can eliminate some of the dead space on the sides and at the top and bottom of these pinball games. That's something I do all the time in VPX and Future Pinball. And what that does is just makes your pinball table take advantage of all the real estate on there. The biggest critique I have of the ELP, either version, is that it is only a 32-inch screen. While that dominates the 24-inch screen that we saw in the Arcade 1-Up version of their virtual pinball, it is on the small side for somebody who is a serious pinball player. If they did that, if they allow us to change the inclination of the table, to cut off the tops and bottoms, to make it wider or shorter, whatever we want to do with it, it would put it on a way more level playing field with VPX, which frankly is still the world's best virtual pinball game simulator. The games that are coming out right now for VPX all through 2023 have been amazing. And that is in no small part because you can really tune in each one of those tables to fit whatever setup you have. So if you want to see the rules list, you can. If you don't care about it, you can make the table bigger so that it better fits your screen. I'm a player. I want to play these games, right? And to me, the bigger, the better. And I really hope AtGames is able to deliver that, if not at launch, then at some point down the line, because I do think it would make a big difference. All that said, I think that if they could make that change and a few other tweaks here and there, they could have a really formidable machine for less than $2,000. There's really nothing else on the market that can touch it at that price. So I really am excited to see what happens for their other titles, presumably like Indiana Jones, Star Trek, Star Wars, Attack from Mars, things like that. It gives me a lot of hope that the products that we see announced in 2024 are going to be spectacular. I think if you're into Addams Family, well, right now there's very little reason not to jump into this table other than you just don't got the cash. All right, so that's going to wrap up this episode. Hopefully you like it. If you did, give me a thumbs up on the way out the door. It really does help this channel. Love each other. And until next time, I'll see you guys in the Game Shack. Mwah!
Be sure to visit evilgeniusentertainment.com for exclusive content, swag, casting call news, and much, much more.